We'll start a new page, so to speak, on our discussion on education. We'll start with basic education. We spent quite a lot of time on preschool so that we would understand the nuances, understand the challenges, and ask of long-lasting solutions to them. And this morning I gave a huge shout out to Kobna Safo and then Atakakra. They are part of the unsung heroes, behind the scenes people. We go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, Abena takes us through the trending news. Do stick and stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Okay, we are standing by. We are standing by. You're welcome back. Abna, what do you have for us by way of trending news?
We've got a lot as usual. We got this one from My Joy Online. Sierra Leone's buyer visits Ghana on Monday.
I think when you look at the ECOWAS region, there are only a few Anglophone countries. We are surrounded mostly by Francophone ones, the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, then Ghana and Nigeria. These are the 5 Francophone countries within the West African sub-region. Cameroon is not a part of ECOWAS, but geographically it is with us, and there is an English-speaking part of Cameroon. So when you look at all the wars we've had in West Africa, Anglophones have found solace in traveling to Anglophone countries for refuge. That is why when you go to Kasoa in the central region here in Ghana, we have the Bujumburam camp that housed Liberian and Sierra Leonean, refugees. So therefore, we have a long-standing relationship with Sierra Leone, and therefore it's good that Freetown is finding the need to collaborate further with Accra, and therefore the president is visiting His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But what I think is that there should be more collaboration between West African countries. Most of the time, the only thing we share with them is that we write WASI. But apart from that, cultural engagement, youth exchange programs, even churches, and they have to be traveling across borders so that we'll have a synergy and then a sync so that as a sub-region we can grow together. But Ghanaians just don't travel to Sierra Leone. People are just not interested. And therefore, I believe...
Could that be a reason?
Yeah, it's a big reason why we don't, trade too much with Sierra Leone.
Okay.
The volume of trade we have normally is with Nigeria. So therefore, I believe Sierra Leone, with all its diamonds, provides an untapped, pool of resource. As a sub-region, we can make good use of collectively. So we welcome His Excellency Bayo to Accra, and we believe whatever bilateral talks that will take place between him and His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will be mutually beneficial for Ghana and Sierra Leone.
Do you have an idea about the motive behind this visit?
No, such motives are two-pronged.
Okay.
Normally, they will tell you to deepen the bilateral ties between us and them. But of course, behind the scenes, we collaborate with Sierra Leone on matters of counterterrorism.
Okay.
If there are any threats that Ghana could potentially face or Sierra Leone could potentially face, there is a hotline between us and Sierra Leone and other countries. So we collaborate on various levels, but then some of those are quite, classified. And therefore, overtly, it is said that this is meant to deepen the trade and bilateral ties between us and Sierra Leone.
Okay, let's hope something good comes out of
Yes.
that. The next one is the next one says World Chefs Day marked in Ghana. This is from Peace FM.
What's your favorite food?
Rice.
Why does everybody eat rice in Ghana? Some people eat rice for breakfast, eat rice for lunch, eat rice for dinner.
It looks like a day can't pass by without me take rice.
You hardly do a week in Ghana without eating rice. It's a staple for us. But I believe a meal goes beyond starch. Sometimes you can get a little bit of fruits and veggies, and that could qualify as a major meal for you. And then our children too are a bit malnourished because of the concentration of carbohydrates in the major meals they take. So therefore, when it comes to culinary issues, cooking issues, Ghana plays a pivotal role. That is why this has been a great privilege for us that we are chosen for such an important event. But for young ladies, we would recommend that invest more time to learn how to cook local dishes. If it is akple, learn how to cook good akple. If it is tuwo zafi, if it is wache, if it is eto, learn how to cook. What local food can you cook really well?
I can cook a lot.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I can cook. I can make tuwo zafi, the bankus, the fufus, and all that. It's just that I don't eat fufu. I don't like fufu. Because it goes through a lot of process, so that's just the reason I don't like it. But I know how to cook it.
They have processed
I know how to prepare that.
They have processed fufu, and even with palm nut soup. They even have it in cans.
In cans, yeah,
now.
that's the including, right?
So life becomes much easier for women in the kitchen. And now because of this affirmative action thing, women are saying the kitchen is not meant to be their place of abode, so to speak. So I believe cooking is important. Men who can cook can complement the efforts of their busy wives. What is more special than serving your wife breakfast in bed?
That would be so romantic, isn't it?
Yes, so therefore I believe cooking is good, and we need to market the kind of local dishes we have. And our restaurants should also invest more in local dishes, with the asanka and the banku and the fufu and all that. They are healthy and they are the best we can market. And we need to commend one young chef. I remember there was a program at the residence of the British High Commissioner. I was invited for the program, and then he came up and shook hands. I said, okay, I had read in the news that he had served the Queen of England, Wache. And so I told him how happy and excited I was about that. So he's taking Wache international. And we have other young entrepreneurs, like the guy doing the A1 bread, and people doing kenke and selling kenke in traffic and all that.
And even millet kenke. You know, there's this initiative. I don't know who brought about it, but they could use millet for kenke.
Yeah,
and
food is a great source of tourist attraction. And if we are able to, package food, cocoa. Kofi just went for cocoa. Kofi and other people just went for cocoa. And they only advise that don't buy your breakfast in plastic rubbers.
Especially when they're hot.
Degradable, biodegradable ones and all that. So let's package some of these so that we can attract the world to Ghana. And I'm pretty excited about the fact that world chefs are converging in Accra.
Yeah, I am too. Anyway, away from that, KNS UST students to demonstrate today after colleagues' arrest. This from City News.
I am a product of single-sex education. What Opokuwari School did to us was that it gave us emotional balance, it gave us focus, because you didn't have to think about the opposite sex too much. So I'm a proponent of the idea that you can put girls together and they can learn effectively. You can put boys together and they can learn effectively. But when you cross the high school, level, when you go to university, I don't think it is too necessary that you have a dormitory dominated or housing only boys or young men. And so Katanga Hall and others that have been converted in the KNUST, causing a lot of disquiet on campus, could have been the unintended consequence of some of these clashes we are seeing and the injuries that ensue. So therefore, I think at uni, you can mix up, you can mix up. And therefore, they shouldn't agitate too much against the conversion of the
there had been similar case weeks back. No, I mean in KNUST, and I don't really know what is happening lately. Because according to this story, a student was holding a vigil and led to his arrest. So I don't know. Is it?
I was in uni. I was in UG for 2 years before I went somewhere to do my first degree in public relations. I saw what happened. I was in a Kwafu Hall. We saw the bravado that was exuded by people that were members of the Commonwealth Hall, vandals, and the brutalization sometimes, and the, sportsmanship and fanfare that characterized the fact that they were seen as very strong and all that.
But my question is, what's wrong seeing a student holding a vigil that you have to arrest him?
I believe there has to be a reason why you want to hold a vigil. Okay. The activities of these dormitories is causing a national security threat. You remember during inauguration in the University of Ghana, people were imported from Kumasi, KNUST, to cause a lot of mayhem. And some also leave UG to go to UCC and others to go and fight. So therefore, I don't think it is too necessary.
Because I think they should serve as
we want to build a new generation of erudite and refined young men, and those are not ones that must behave on campus. So I'm completely against, turning boys' halls or young men's halls into mixed ones. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Okay. Our next story says, suspected case of tilapia lake virus, EPA, to release full reports soon. This is from City News as well.
Health experts say it is not too healthy to eat canned beef, canned mutton, and others. But they assure us that as for fish, you can go for fish. So it's quite surprising that even tilapia could pose a health threat to us. The best you can do as a Ghanaian is to eat fresh food. So if you can go to Cape Coast and catch fish directly from the sea and roast or fry or grill, I think that is all better. But because of the schedules people have in cosmopolitan areas like Accra, real estate agents have taken over the farmlands. There are no fish ponds in Accra. So therefore, we rely on processed or canned food. But just be careful what you eat. And I'm told even for women who cook, they are not too fanciful of canned, chicken. Because they say it's not too healthy. So therefore, for that one, we have a remedy. You go to the market and they slaughter fresh for you to bring home. But for fish, it poses a little bit of a conundrum as to how we can go around it. But eat healthy.
Yeah, I think this issue, this particular news had come up some time ago. This is not the first time, actually. And then delving deep into this particular story, I learned the fishes were poisoned. Well, I don't know how true that is, because a report will be released soon for us to really get to know the truth of it.
Maritime security is an area I collaborate with the state on. And in fact, only last week we had an engagement in that. 24 nautical miles away from our coastline, or the baseline, we call it, you can fish. Beyond that is international waters. So those that use speedboats to go fishing, sometimes the fish gets poisoned because of the kind of chemicals that are used in fishing. So therefore, you use DDT, for example, to catch fish. No matter how well you process the food before cooking, or how you clean it, how well you clean it, there will be residual, chemicals that could have far-reaching effects on people's health. So therefore, let's adopt organic ways of fishing. And when we do, make sure we treat the fish before we cook.
Away from that, clashes between Christian and Muslims youth at market killed 55 in Nigeria. That's from BBC.
One of the most outlandish things to do is to hurt another person because they have a different belief. from you. Nigeria has that huge problem. Yeah. When you go to Plateau, Jos, and other areas, you find these people killing these people.
This actually happened in Kaduna State.
Yes, yeah, and other Kaduna states, and then their problem with herdsmen and all that. I think Ghana has set a very good example. Yeah. We have state institutions that provide common platforms for various religions, interfaith dialogue, the National Peace Council, and then regional houses of chiefs and all that. So Ghana doesn't have a problem with interfaith violence. Yeah. We need to consolidate that gain and continue to shine as an example to the rest of Africa.
I think, well, we'll commend Ghana for that, but I think we should be each other's keeper or a watchdog over each other, because we're all Africans, and if it's happening elsewhere, you don't sit there and say, maybe my country is not going through that, or they're not doing that, so we just have to close our eyes on it. So we should also at least watch out for that. And another one says, hundreds of teachers on study leave impersonated at NSS, that's a national service
we'll wrap
scheme.
Up on that one. Impersonation is really bad, and I think we need to work on that as a country. Sure. And thank you so much, Abena. And Abena credits a number of online portals for the stories we have, Joy, My Joy Online, City Newsroom, Peace FM, Kantanka, a very vibrant website, and Ghana Web, and a host of others. We'll go for a quick commercial break. You just can't afford to miss this conversation. Today, we sit with a young tutor from the Ghana Education Service to do our debut on basic education in the Republic of Ghana. We'll be back momentarily.
Branyankopon bo ni wiase no wotena ase din hunu se niam wo bo ye nyina ye na adebon to aso ba ko de hye nipa nsa ne awo ene se obi be wo ba wiase na kola na didem obi nso so e ba wiase ansa na wabenya e fa akwanhia mu enam sa yo so ma Kantanka television e de dwumadie sonko kredi eda so ne makosem e brewo na dwumadie so e na obohu obi a wofuru kube ekote e be gina kwan ho eton sa nso na obi a nani afira na woye wo eye ehu bibia obehu obi otete ahai ene de wono nso so eye samana wo mu nyina ani afira na yasan so ni atitiriw atwetwe nkomo afampewani nsen awareja ye hu nsunsuaso ene nkwada a ye de omokọ enkwaso ne be mu ahunu se abrabo na wo bo no achia nso emu
Hello, lovely people of Africa, African Youth Time. This is the show, as I rightly said, that gives African youth the platform to have an up-close with living legends who are helping build the continent.
The youth of Africa, they have a lot of potential.
What is killing Africans is our inability to discover and identify our potentials and what we can do for ourselves.
Nobody makes you a leader. You become a leader.
We are not poor. The resources in Congo alone can feed the whole Africa.
Do you want to enroll your ward in a school that has keen interest in academic excellence and sound religious upbringing? Then Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences is the place. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences, Great Asas, offers general arts, business, home economics, visual arts, general science and technical courses in auto mechanics and applied electricity. Great Asas has well-equipped laboratories for all the science-related courses, an ICT laboratory, and a well-stocked library. Excellent boarding facilities are available for both boys and girls with adequate security measures to ensure your ward's safety. Students also have the privilege to go to Apostle Safo Suaye at Gomu Ampota for practical lessons with the proprietor, Apostle Dr. Engineer Kwedo Safo, for 1 month during the long vacation. We also have a school bus that picks your ward from home to school and back home. Great Asas has a cadet corps, a choir, drama and debating club to harness the hidden talents in your ward. Locate Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshila Stop, Accra, Ghana. Great Asas. Do you want to enroll your ward in a school where quality basic education, discipline and moral upbringing is our hallmark? Then come to Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Basic School. Great Asas. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences has vacancies in preschool, lower and upper primary, JHS 1 and JHS 2, with spacious and ventilated classrooms. The school also has excellent boarding facilities for students from upper primary to JHS. Great Asas also has a well-stocked library, a school bus that picks your ward from home to school and back home, with adequate security measures to ensure your ward's safety. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Preschool has state-of-the-art learning materials to make learning fun for your ward. We also have the Cadet Corps and a cultural troupe to tap hidden talents in your ward. Locate Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshi Last Stop, Accra. Great Asa!
Hi, you're welcome back, and today we start our maiden discussion on basic education, and we have in the studios a very young-looking and handsome man to help us discuss such an all-important topic and also discuss the transition from preschool to basic education. Daniel Feenyi, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
And throughout the show, you can send your thoughts to our WhatsApp line, which is on your screens, 0243333500, and then in due course we will announce the phone lines so you can interact with our guest. Danny, welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
We've spent a long time understanding the formative instructions that are given at preschool. In summing up, how do you feel about preschool, and what does it look like for the kids to transition from preschool to basic school?
All right, thank you very much.
Great.
And let me say a very good morning to our cherished listeners and viewers.
Great.
Yes, in fact, some of us are so much interested in the educational structure in this country. We have criticized some of the policies that have been pushed by politicians. We have sometimes agreed as well with them.
Yeah.
And so, yes, anytime the topic of education comes up, a lot of us, try to put across our ideas about it. For the basic education, we are looking at from class 1 to class 6. And for pre-basic education, then we are considering kindergarten and then sometimes crèche. Crèche is not really recognized because we feel that before a child starts school, he should be about 5 to 6 years before the child can start schooling. But we have somewhat introduced crèche in our system because some parents are so busy. Some of them, want to leave their children with caretakers so that they could go to their workplaces. And so preschool, sometimes when you go to some institutions, you could see 6-month-old children there, sometimes 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds who are in preschool. Now, the transition from crèche to kindergarten is not very strenuous. Sometimes they are not even given tedious examination. Once we see that your child is growing and maybe doing fine in school, then they push the child to the kindergarten. In kindergarten, we have 2 years. They spend 2 years there, kindergarten 1 and then 2, KG1, KG2. And for that one, sometimes they are made to, write some form of exam. And I say some form of exam because it is not really a formal kind of exams. They are tested on how they could write, sometimes how they could speak, 2-letter words, 3-letter words, and all that. Then they are moved to, KG2. Then for KG2, because they are moving from one level, we consider KG as one level. Because they are moving from one level to another level in primary school, they are made to write exams. That one, they normally check your literacy, how you're able to speak and sometimes write, and then your numeracy, how you are able to do calculations, and when you are able to pass that, then you are moved to class 1. By that time, we assume that the child would have gotten to age 5 or 6, then he starts the basic school.
I remember those days we were shouting out SO, GO, GO, DO, DO, and others. Are children left on their own a little? Do they do things unattended to and unassisted only because they've transitioned from preschool to class 1?
Yes.
I mean the teaching methodology.
Yeah. When the children are moved to class 1, it is assumed that class 1 is the starting point of education in this country. And so we don't consider that they have been taught some words already, or they have been taught some letters already. Class 1 starts, when you look at the syllabus in class 1, they are to start learning the sounds and the little calculations, where I remember those days you could bring counters to class, tones to class, and do some additions and subtractions here and there. They are to start in class 1. Those lessons are to start in class 1, because we assume that kindergarten was just to, occupy them. Kindergarten was just to make them feel that they are in school. And as I earlier stated, some parents even take their children to preschool because they don't have time to take care of the children. So it is class 1, it is in class 1 that the teachers are expected to take the children through the most basic level of knowledge acquisition, which is the basic numeracy, the basic literacy. As you rightly said, they are supposed to pronounce sounds, sometimes 2-letter words, 3-letter words, and so forth and so on. And sometimes we go to the extent where they are made to form basic sentences, verb phrases, noun phrases, a bit of these things. And so that is the level that the children are recognized as having formal education.
And still on the methodology, when you go to Nigeria, they speak with a baritone voice. If the person is from the north, you can find, traces of where the person is coming from in the English they speak. If the person is from the west, which is dominated by the Alata people, the Yoruba people, you find that you find that as well. Then the Igbo people. All the movies we watch from Nollywood are usually by Ramsey Noah and others. In terms of phonetics, in Ghana, in terms of geography, starting from class 1, which of the regions do we find embrace the tenets of phonetics? So if it is English they are speaking, this is English, and you don't find any traces of your mother tongue.
It's very true. This is a very important aspect. The reason is that I did English in the university, and I'm even doing my master's in English in the university, and there have been so much argument about dialects as to whether we have to form our own kind of English here, or we should, learn exactly what our colonial masters, the British, are speaking. And it seems the argument is that if we are able to speak a dialect of English such that people would understand you, such that you are able to communicate without any, barriers in terms of understanding, then that level of English should be accepted as part of English. And so if you are a Fanti and you are speaking English, and an Ever is speaking English, we might trace some level of tribal influence in your tonations. But the argument is that we shouldn't really, place much emphasis on it. It is a dialect of English. When I say it's a dialect of English, I mean it is an aspect of English. Just as you go to America and they are speaking their kind of English, you would understand an American when he's speaking English. But that English they speak is not the same as what the British speak. Even in Britain, there are dialects of English there. And so there have been this back and forth argument as to what kind of English we should accept here as our, formal kind of English we speak here. And we are thinking, now that English is our national language and our formal language too, we have been told that from class 1 to class 3, we should teach English. But English shouldn't be the medium of instruction in the classroom. By that, they mean that when the teacher goes to class, we should, speak our local language in teaching the children, and then teach English as a subject. Just as you teach mathematics, social studies in the class, teach English as a subject. But your language of instruction should be your local language. Then the question comes, in a single class, you could find students from Ever background, Fanti background, Ashanti background, Dagomba background, all in the classroom. What language would you, the teacher, use to teach the children? So even though we are told that from class 1 to class 3, we should use our local language to teach the children, the question is, which local language should we use? when the children are coming from various backgrounds. So even when you go to the basic schools now, from class 1 to 3, the teachers are still forced to use English to teach because the children are coming from, different backgrounds. So our kind of English, there have been so many arguments. I said this because I have been around lecturers and professors of English, and they are arguing seriously as to our dialect of English. Should we accept it as our standard here, or we should, learn what the British are speaking? And that is not likely to be possible.
Okay, we'll go for our second commercial break. When we come back, I ask Danny why in A class, lower primary, they tell you don't speak vernacular, and vernacular means your mother tongue. We'll be back shortly. You're welcome back, and continue to let your views and thoughts come to us via WhatsApp, and they'll be read shortly by Abena. And send your thoughts to our WhatsApp line 024 333 500, 024 333 500, and then you can also call into the show on 0558 656899. Danny, so don't speak vernacular. And so a child is in class 1. How do we infuse English language as a second language and also keep the person's mother tongue?
Yes, don't speak vernacular. It is very common in our basic schools. You go to almost every school and you will see, a signpost with that inscription on it. It is wrong for pupils in class 1 to class 3. So it is assumed that when we inscribe that on the wall, sometimes on trees, on campus, we are referring to those in class 4 to maybe J3. Okay. Yes. The reason is that, as I initially indicated, in our syllabus, in our Education Act, the children are supposed to learn English as a subject, as a second area. And so they are supposed to speak their local languages among themselves, and sometimes in the classroom they are supposed to communicate in their local language. The reason is that once they go beyond class 3 and they get to class 4, from class 4 to university, the mode of instruction is English language. So from class 1 to class 3, they are expected to know their mother tongue, and the only way they could is when they are able to practice among themselves, when they're able to speak the local language with their teachers and sometimes parents in the house and all that. And so by the time they get to class 3, it is assumed that they would have gotten firm grips of the language, their local language. Then they get to class 4 where they are supposed to speak English. So from class 4 to even the university level, the mode of instruction and everything, they are supposed to communicate in English.
If between classes 1 and 3 we speak to them in Ewe, for example, some kids are late starters, will they be able to pick up a second language from class 4?
Yeah, that is the general assumption. As I said, we are even told that we should speak the local language with them when they are in class 1 to class 3. But to go to the schools right now, the teachers are using English language as
a mode of instruction.
Yes, as a mode of instruction. Because the argument is that if the teacher is an Ashanti, for instance, and he wants to speak Twi, how many of the children there would understand Twi? Especially in cosmopolitan areas like maybe Accra, where children are coming from different backgrounds. Some are even from Nigeria, some are from, the States, some are from Volta region, and they are all in the same classroom. And you are the teacher, you speak Twi. Would you be able to speak in Twi for the children to understand totally what you are saying? That wouldn't be possible. So in the books, on papers, we are supposed to communicate in the local dialect, but that's not possible. Teachers are using English language because of the real situations on the ground.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go further. For a child in basic school, the child is in class 1. You are not a psychologist, and I won't pretend you are one. What should be a typical routine so that parents will know? For my child that is in class 1, class 2, or class 3, from the morning, these are the things the child should do. And this is the kind of food that works as breakfast. At what time should the child take lunch, for example? And is it compulsory that the child does extra classes immediately after 6 hours or 7 hours of continuous studies in school?
Yes, for a child in class 1, so we are looking at age around 5 or 6. For such a child, he loves to play a lot. Okay. And so even if you're a teacher and you are standing before him or her, he's not really paying attention to you. It is around this time that we may want to observe the children and look at the areas that they have interest in. So you notice that some of the children would want to play football, sometimes even in the classroom. Okay. Some of them would want to fidget with a lot of things, okay, just to see if they can combine. They may not know what exactly they are doing, but wow, yes, but that's what some of them, you could see that some of them are also almost always with their books, reading. Some of them, so it is around this time that if our system worked well, teachers could recommend to parents that I've noticed that your child likes football. So I recommend that you take him to an academy where he would learn and still be playing his football. Okay. I've noticed that your child likes to read a lot. So I recommend that you buy a lot of books for him in the house so that he will start reading and all that. Okay. So it is around this time that parents, but we are even careful with that one, because a child may start playing football, but he will grow up and realize his interest is not in football. Typical example, because these two characters, people know them, Asamoah Gyan and Castro. When they were in school, we are told that Asamoah Gyan loved to sing and Castro loved to play football. But these two characters grew up, and we have realized that Asamoah Gyan is now playing football and Castro is now singing. So if you limit the children to what they are doing in the classroom and recommend that I could see your child is playing football and so his talent may be in football, the child may grow up and you realize, no, that's not his talent. So around this time, we don't recommend serious extra classes. By that I mean, a child goes to school and closes around 2:30, 3 o'clock. And because parents don't have time, maybe by that time they have not returned home from work and all that, so they are forcing their children to, attend private classes and all that. How much can a child consume at a time? There's a child who is not even serious in the classroom. Then after school, you take him to extra classes or vacation class, hire teachers for them and all that. So the argument has been back and forth as to the duration. I said this to look at the senior high school level, where now they are told that students or school has to close around 4:30. We have to do all the 8-hour duration of public institutions and all that. And we are thinking that when a teacher goes to class, now we are told that one period should be 1 hour. And so a teacher goes to class for 2 periods and needs to spend 2 hours before the children. I teach at the secondary level. Even at the secondary level with our children, you go to them, you teach for 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes.
The concentration span just goes off completely. Yes.
And it's not their fault. That's how we are created. You learn for some time and we would want to play and come back and learn and all that. So it is just unfortunate that in our part of the world, politicians take decisions for the educational sector.
Okay. On that political note, viewers can join the conversation. Call us on 0558 656899. You can find the number on your screens, and also continue sending your WhatsApp messages to 024 333 500. Okay. So the wishy-washy policy formulation on the part of politicians, I thought affected only high school, senior high school. I didn't know it has a telltale effect on lower primary, because we hear of F-cube, free compulsory universal basic education, and politicians have remained true to F-cube. So what do you mean by policy formulation that affects the development of the children at that basic level?
Yes. Whatever decision we take as a nation, whether we like it or not, go a long way to affect the children. If we are taking a decision that would affect parents, it will automatically affect the children. If we are taking a decision that would affect teachers, it will automatically affect the children.
Okay, there is a caller. Sorry about that. Hello, good morning, and thanks for making time.
Yeah, good morning.
And kindly lower the volume on your set, and we can still hear. You can actually put off your TV, and we can hear you.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Hello, caller.
Yeah, I'm a caller. My name is Frank.
And please, anytime you call, you can actually put off your TV set or lower the volume, and we can hear you. Okay.
Yeah. So I was saying that policies go a long way.
Yeah.
They may look so national, and so you might not think that the children are affected, but they are. The reason is this: free universal basic education, compulsory basic education, came to help the children, but they did go with corresponding provision of facilities.
Okay, sorry, there is another caller. Hello, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Frank. My name is Frank.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Frank.
You calling from?
I wanted to know, should extra class be a compulsory?
The phone lines have not been too gracious this morning. Okay.
Yes, and so I was saying that
when they don't do
compulsory basic education for all children, I think within the ages of 4 or 5 to 15. But they did go with corresponding provision of facilities? No. Go to our basic schools now, they are to learn ICT, and some of them have not seen a computer before. Go to our basic schools now, some are sitting on bare floor learning. Some schools are under trees. So on paper, we have all the nice policies. Theoretically, we have all the beautiful policies you can think of. But practically, there are a lot of things to be done. And they are not doing as fast as, when I say they, I mean the politicians or our leaders.
Okay, sorry, I hope this call becomes stable, Daniel. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, good morning. Your name and where you calling us from?
Please, my name is Owusu, and I'm calling from Malam.
And can you speak up a bit? I can hardly hear.
Yeah, my name is Owusu, and I'm calling from Malam.
Also from?
Malam,
Accra. Okay, here in Accra. Okay, yeah. Welcome to the show also.
Okay, thank you.
What's on your mind?
Ibad, the problem we have here in Ghana and I think Africa as a whole is we normally concentrate on the theoretical aspects of education without teaching the practical, taking in consideration the practical aspects. And what I've noticed is we always pay attention to the theoretical aspects of education, like at the higher level, for instance. Much respect is given to university students as compared to polytechnic students and those who are in TVET and all. Okay. Yeah, and so, and the way we train our teachers, I think we have a shortfall. Okay. You go to the training college and how they are being controlled. You know, like they are potential managers, right? They are come to manage the lives of students and potential teachers, potential president, potential bank managers, and like I think the training that should be given to them should be like I think should be more humanistic approach. But it seems like you will go to the training college and they will be stressed, like they will be under control, and I think it's not the best thing, or it's not the best thing for Ministry of Education or the Ghana Education Service to accept as a mode of teaching.
Okay. Okay,
yeah,
thank you. Thank you so much also. Your concern is multi-layered and spanning the various levels of education. We'll get to them. But what I can tease out from what he's saying is when the child is in class 1, 2, or 3, we concentrate on theory. And a mother is excited because the child can read a poem off head. Do we concentrate on chew on paw, even at that basic level, or you would, encourage practical, teaching?
Yes, there have been the arguments, and there's this program that I built to speak on reading and practicals. Which one is the best learning strategy? Reading and practicals. So you want to look at reading. Let me quickly say this, that the moderator for National Science and Maths Quiz, Dr.
Can you lump that up with this one? Hello, your name and where you calling from? Hello?
Please, I'm Mr. Agboku. I'm calling from Tema. Hello?
You're calling us from Tema. Welcome to the show. Welcome, bro.
My contribution, thank you.
Okay.
Please, my contribution to the program.
Okay, please do.
Concerning the education, you were saying something that there's a saying, theory does the job. Theory and practical does it better.
Theory without practicals does the job. Theory plus practicals do the work better. Okay. Yeah, you may continue.
Exactly. Hello?
You may continue.
Concerning the teaching,
okay.
I pray that the teachers who are coming, they should teach them how to let the children understand whatever topic they are teaching. It is the understanding of the subject that will prepare the child to understand it better.
Okay.
If I remember I was in SS, we had a teacher from SS1 who was teaching electrical. Could you believe that for a whole term we were treating only one topic? A whole term, just one topic on electrical. A whole term. Because all of us were confused because there was no understanding of a topic that we are treating. So if the teachers are teaching, they should have understanding so that they make sure that the child understands whatever he or she is teaching them.
Okay.
With that, if there's any question, the child can be able to express himself.
Okay, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. I think it is in line with the first question.
So I was giving an example of Dr. A.C. Kaufman, the moderator for National Science and Maths Quiz. Yes. Yeah. She said that the winners of this year's National Science and Maths with St. Peter's, the representatives, they went outside the country to, involve in a competition of a sort. And they came last. These two were more or less our final.
After all the fanfare, yes. And they beat OWAS and the rest.
Yes.
OWAS could have done better anyway, on an international level. Okay.
And she said that the contestants who here in Ghana are assumed to be our finest brains.
They're very cream.
Yes. They were not able to manipulate the tools they were given. Some of them admitted that they had not even seen those things before. And these are our finest brains. So the question, reading and practicals,
okay.
Which one is better?
Okay, there's another caller. Your name and where you calling from? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, please.
Speak up a bit, bro.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Your name and where you calling from?
Okay, my name is Robert. I'm calling from Taifa.
Robert from Taifa. Okay.
Yes, please. Okay, I wanted to contribute on the using the tree in teaching. Yeah, I think I have a problem there because let me give an example of maybe a teacher using the tree to teach, and he tells the children that maybe two, say we 1 3 more, a better one. Now I'm not sure that when it comes to the exams, it's going to be in a tree writing. It's not going to be, say, 2, no, 1 framework, 1. So I think we have to get to use the English. 2 minus 1 is 1. By so doing, it's going to make the children to understand what they are doing very well. The 3 is good. It's good for them to understand very well. But I think it's very well and very better for us to use our English, the English to teach the children. That they also understand, because the exam is not going to be written in 3. It's going to be written in English for them to understand very well.
Robert, thank you so much for your thoughts.
Thank you.
And too many things to tackle in so little time. So the cream of the cream here went international, and they were last.
Yes, and they couldn't perform. And the reason was that they were not able to manipulate the tools, equipment they were given. And so the question is, reading and practicals, which one is the best strategy, learning strategy? Depending on the area that the child would want to go, reading or practicals, he would have to choose which one. For example, someone who would want to be a lawyer, he would have to be a reader as well, and a person who is able to recollect many things that he has read for you to be a very good lawyer. Somebody who wants to go into the sciences, technical, vocational, and construction, and those things, you don't put them in a classroom and teach them. Give them the tools. Let them manipulate the tools themselves. Let them make the mistakes and learn from the mistakes. You don't. It is so funny sometimes that you go to even driving school.
Oh, really sorry about that, Danny. Right. Sorry about that. Hello, your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Kofi, calling from Kwashiman.
And Kofi from Kwashiman. Welcome to the show, and lower the volume on your set and speak up a bit.
All right, thank you. Okay. I think we are losing direction as a people in terms of our education, right? In the sense that our concentration has been the fact that one needs to pass an examination and you are through with everything. And there's a need for us to infuse theoretical aspects as well as the practical aspects. Even at the university level, you have lecturers who will come with a nice grammar and everything. By then, what is required of them to impact on the student, they don't do. So people will come out from universities, they have jobs, and they cannot deliver. So I think there's a need for us to sit down and take a look at our educational system, and where we fall short, we correct them, and that will keep us going. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're most welcome, Kofi. Thanks for making time. And Daniel, you said someone may go into architecture in future. Between classes 1 and 6, do you think by then we would have known the trajectory of their studies? And at that level, does that mean they shouldn't learn trigonometry? They should learn other things they may need in future?
Yes, this question has come up on several occasions and platforms because we had information that National Teaching Council want to reduce the number of subjects in the basic level to 4 from, I think they are doing about 9, 10, and they want to reduce the number of subjects to 4. Then the question is, which subject are you going to remove? And which subject are you going to add? Are the removal and additions based on the children's capabilities? So our problem as a nation here is that we are so much into sitting in offices and taking policies. Remove, for example, mathematics from the syllabus. What about a child who would want to be a mathematician in future? If you would want to remove RME from the syllabus, what about a child who would want to grow up
into a clergyman?
Yes.
A pastor or an imam?
Yes. So at the basic level, the advocacy is that let all of them learn everything. Get them the exposure to almost all the subjects. It might not be in-depth exposure, but let them get at least the surface understanding of.
Let's take this final call, if you may. Hello, your name and where you're calling from, and keep it short and sweet.
Okay, this is Steven from Kofodia.
Okay.
I like the program that you discussed. The topic is very good.
Thank you.
I was thinking that concerning our educational sector, can we do something about our local dialect? We teach the children from kindergarten to the senior high school level, using their local dialect, and they'll write the YC in the local dialect without necessarily focus on the English. And the English will be any other language, like French to study, Spanish to study. I think that one will help rather, because if the children are able to define things in the language that they were born in, because in Massachusetts, most students don't really understand the English language that they are speaking. I don't know whether you are trying to understand what I'm trying to say.
It's a good point, but I'll prick your mind on this. Even with languages, that local languages that are formed, that are well formed, and you have the Bible in that language, like Ewe, Chi, and the rest. It is English alphabets we use with few additions. So why do we take away English entirely? How can they learn that long in a language that pretty much doesn't have any alphabets, so to speak, if we don't use English?
It's like I want it to be like we experiment, like we start the case, let's say 5 years. We experiment with them. Let's experiment with them. Let's see whether maybe from 10 years to come, 15 years to come, we experiment with them from 4 years to 15 years to know if they write WASI. Someone which we are teaching in English, and another whose we are teaching with the local dialect. What on it we put both of them on the same scale? What would be their performance? What would be their output? Like with this St. Peter's students, if for example they are able to know the instrument, certain things with their local, I don't know whether they know certain things. Even if the instrument, they don't recognize the instrument, they can even explain certain things to their understanding.
Okay. Thank you so much. And Daniel, we are hard pressed for time. We'll go for one final commercial break. When we come back, Abena reads your messages. We'll be back shortly.
Onipa how ene ne da achenti e na abribia wo sori prayer hwehwe na ahoto ne nso e ma prekope en kukuhwe ase ene wo how bebre ene wo mu wenti e na Kantanka TV ya hwehwe dwumadie foforo kra ya to din se edwaso nsem wo dwaso nsem dwumadie so ne baba pne adwadefo ne abusa wo mo how ene wo mama ne wo mo efa mu na empo se edaw bitai akira a wo de pre ahwehwe won da achen ahoto eno ti hia wo nua ba ama adwobi e wo Kantanka TV ne afa edwaso nsem enfamro.
Okay, and sorry, we are hard pressed for time. Abena can take too many of your messages. Sorry about that. She'll take only 2. Then we wrap up with Daniel. Okay, Abena, welcome back. Okay.
Okay, our message for today says, please, I want you to keep up treating this topic so our stakeholders would know the challenges within the education system sector. And then the next one, okay, that's actually from Daniel from Takwa. And then the next one says, please, why is it that one child is learning about 10 subjects in school while teachers with mature minds are rather entitled to only 1 subject?
Okay.
And okay, let me just add one more because we've got a lot of messages, but I'm really sorry we can't read all of them out today because our time is limited. So the next one is actually a question.
Yeah. Okay, Abena. Yeah. And saved by the
bell. Says, please, okay. I want to know. Says, please, I want you to. Oh no. Okay, I can't really get what the person is trying to say, so I think we'll just take it from the. Okay. We'll just leave it there. And
okay, Abena, sorry I put you in that uncomfortable situation. And Daniel, it's been quite refreshing. And you heard some of the messages in 30 seconds, quite unfortunately. And what would be your closing remarks?
All right. I would say that we are practicing democracy here. And so the views of the people and the suggestions of the people in a democratic dispensation is supposed to be taken and considered. If we are taking decisions that will affect the nation, we should come to the people. You are taking a decision for them, so come to them, get to understand what is happening on the grounds, then take the decision for them. Okay. Parents, all of us should try and give our children some form of education. Now education is almost free from basic to the secondary level or senior high level. Okay. Every parent should make an effort to get the child some level of education.
Thank you so much, Daniel Feenyi. Thank you so much for making time. Keep watching Kantanka TV and be with you next time. Okay, have a good day.